At the time when Eden Hazard completed his €100 million dream move from Chelsea to Real Madrid in the summer of 2019, he just came off the back of his second most successful individual season at Chelsea, in which he scored 16 goals and provided 15 assists in the Premier League, as well as winning the Europa League, plus single-handedly helping Chelsea qualify for the Champions League by producing genuine world-class moments like this.
Hazard, very skillful, quick, didn't have any real weaknesses, to be honest. He kind of mastered his game to perfection.
People in love with football in this country, people must be in love with Eden Hazard.
One character you cannot miss is Eden Hazard, probably the best player in the Premier League right now.
Number one in the Premier League, 7 goals.
I think when he goes to Real Madrid, I think he'll score 25.
But I almost feel like Hazard has to play for Madrid or Barcelona. He's that good that I think you look at some players, they have to play at that level.
However, 4 years into this move, it's safe to say that the Eden Hazard Real Madrid thought they bought was far from the Eden Hazard they got, as weight, injuries, and overall fitness issues has tragically derailed his career, making him an expensive burden at the biggest club in world football while earning a salary that's estimated to be around 450 to 500,000 euros a week, which puts him in top spot as a top earner at the club.
Eden Hazard.
Who is? Hazard. He's playing for Chelsea, not for us.
As great a player as he was, would not touch him with a barge pole.
According to Transfer Market, Hazard missed an estimated 500 days of football and 78 matches due to injuries and fitness-related issues. And even though that's terrible in itself, what's even more terrible is that whenever he was on the pitch, he's barely been able to make an impact, because for an attacking forward, his dreadful stats are nothing to write home about, as after 4 seasons completed, he boasts a pitiful 7 goals and 12 assists in over 70 appearances made.
Injuries seem to be part of the conversation around your career at Real Madrid.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 fouls, aggressive fouls. They kick.
Vous savez, j'ai cassé 3 fois ma cheville. Voilà, ma cheville, elle sera peut-être plus jamais la même qu'il y a 10 ans quand j'ai commencé ma carrière.
Eden Hazard's decline has been one of the biggest fall from grace in football history, as his inability to live up to his price tag has led him to being ranked very high on the list of the worst signings in football history.
He doesn't trust himself to actually engage in 1v1 situation.
What exactly led to such a terrible footballing decline? Was he just unlucky, or was it as a result of his own shortcomings?
And there is no place for you to be like, okay, I don't want to train today, I don't want to. The only player I saw that did that and got away with it was Eden Hazard.
This is a tragically unlucky decline of Eden Hazard. In the summer of 2019, Eden Hazard officially became a Real Madrid player, signing for a transfer fee of over €100 million. This move was met with tremendous fanfare, as the club had been yearning for a worthy replacement for their recently departed star man, the greatest player in the club's history, Cristiano Ronaldo, who left the club to sign for Italian giants Juventus 1 year earlier. This transfer happened around the time the football transfers were, according to many fans, getting crazier with the ever-increasing price tag and transfer fees of players. Now, despite taking Los Blancos a year after Ronaldo's departure to finally splash the cash and bring in a high-profile replacement for CR7, there was immense optimism surrounding this transfer. In the previous season, the club had initially depended on another €100 million signing from 5 years ago in Welshman Gareth Bale to take on the role as the new club star man in the absence of Ronaldo, but to no avail, as it became clear that the previously quiet Karim Benzema was beginning to make noise, and so he naturally became more worthy of that position. But despite that, the club still needed someone. They brought in highly rated then teenage Brazilian sensation Vinicius Jr., but he was never going to be thrown into the limelight that soon. So the club needed someone with big league experience. So a Florentino Perez-led Real Madrid began exploring more options. There was the option of possibly bringing in Neymar, as Perez himself had tried several times to attract the Brazilian to the bright lights of the Bernabeu, but failed every single time. But this time was different. Neymar was desperate. He had a tough first few years in Paris, and so he wanted to go back to Spain, preferably to Barca of course, but despite proposals from Messi to make Barca try to sign him, the club ignored this and went ahead to splash €120 million for Atletico Madrid's Antoine Griezmann. Although choosing Real Madrid would have been extremely unlikely considering the Brazilian's previous affiliation with the Catalan club, Perez must have felt that the Brazilian's perceived desperation to leave Paris would outweigh his resistance to make such an audacious move, but in reality, that was never going to happen. Now, with Neymar out of the question, there weren't many world-class players out there who fans would have considered worthy enough to don the iconic number 7 shirt. Although there was also the discussion on whether Real Madrid should go for either of Liverpool's Premier League Golden Boot winning duo Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane, with the latter even reportedly emerging as a key target of Zinedine Zidane. But things just didn't work out, and so they had to look towards the direction of the then Europa League winners, as their star man Eden Hazard emerged as their primary target. Widely regarded at the time as the best player in the Premier League, mostly due to his final season exploit at a Chelsea side in transition under highly rated Italian tactician Maurizio Sarri, Eden Hazard was making waves at Chelsea. Around 2019, he had been at the club for about 7 years, signing for them in the summer after they recently became champions of Europe in 2012, and the next 7 years were just spectacular.
People in love with football in this country, people must be in love with Eden Hazard.
Hazard, very skillful, quick, didn't have any real weaknesses, to be honest. He kind of mastered his game to perfection.
He took his career to new heights, collecting several individual accolades. The man is a Premier League legend who dazzled Chelsea fans with his goals, dribbling, vision, and his provision of magnificent moments like the solo goal against Arsenal and the late equalizer against Tottenham in 2015-16, which shattered their bitter rivals' Premier League title dreams, helping create a literal footballing miracle for Leicester City, despite Hazard himself going through a terrible season at the time. The point is, he was Chelsea's go-to guy in every situation.
For me, I don't know how many times on this programme over the last 4 or 5 years I've said this is the most incredible player, amazing to watch.
One character you cannot miss is Eden Hazard. You know, you say he's on fire. This time he's probably the best player in the Premier League right now. So
when Morata stopped scoring, he was made to play as a striker, and he delivered. And when Sarri needed inspiration amidst a turbulent season which saw a section of the club fan base turn on him, he often called upon Hazard, and he delivered. The season under Sarri was the much needed catalyst for the eventual execution of Hazard's dream Real Madrid move.
You seem to have gone to another level.
Every day he told me that I need to score 40 goals. He's always telling me that, yeah, I need to shoot, I need to dribble. If I miss, no problem, you know, I need to do another time.
The Belgian on several occasions in the past did not make his desire to move to Madrid a secret, as in June 2017, Hazard said he would listen if Real Madrid offered him a deal, before admitting it might be time to discover something different after 6 wonderful years at Stamford Bridge following the 2018 World Cup.
But I almost feel like Hazard has to play for Madrid or Barcelona. He's that good that...
It's just a fact. They go after the best players in the world, and Eden Hazard is one of those.
I think you look at some players, they have to play at that level.
Later that year, the Belgian would admit that he was torn between signing a new deal at Chelsea and signing for Real Madrid, which he's personally described as the best club in the world.
Voilà, pour moi c'était le club, en plus les maillots blancs, le stade, c'était l'un des plus beaux stades. Donc c'est un tout en fait, c'est un tout.
When asked about a potential move to Real, he said, "It is my dream since I was a kid. I was dreaming about this club." Even Real Madrid boss Zinedine Zidane did not hold back in his admiration for the talented winger, and this helped increase the likelihood of this potential transfer following through. And in the summer of 2019, it finally happened. Eden Hazard finally achieved his dream, but he would soon discover that that dream was quickly about to become a nightmare. But back to the good part. Hazard's transfer was met with hugely positive reactions from the Chelsea faithful, with comments such as, "From a lifelong Chelsea fan of 70 years, I must say thanks for the memories, Eden. Follow your dreams, you are the best I've seen at Chelsea, and yes, that includes the Greaves years and the Osgood years. What you portray is a player who's still enthusiastic, still smiles, still wants to play, still wants the ball, hates to miss a game. Enjoy the next few years. Come back and, bracket, haunt us, see us often." People were generally happy for him. Now take note that this was around the time that Chelsea were hit with a transfer ban, which meant they couldn't sign any players for a certain amount of time. So losing one of their best players at the time was not going to be easy, but the club were very well prepared to persevere, especially since as a result of this transfer, they now have over 100 million euros coming into the club. Now, this in itself caused a bit of a stir, as Real Madrid chose to sign Eden for that kind of money, despite the fact that he only had 1 year left in his contract and would most likely have been free the following season. However, the feeling of euphoria that accompanied this type of transfer immediately overshadowed this perspective. Hazard would write a heartwarming farewell message to Chelsea fans, which began with, "To my Chelsea friends and family," before he would continue to state the following. I was 21 when I joined, so I have grown up as a man and a player with all of you. You have helped me become captain of the Belgium national team after all. Chelsea, and especially Chelsea fans, will always be special to me, and next season I will look forward to your results first. I hope that we are drawn against each other in the Champions League next season and every season so we can meet again. But I must thank the owner, Mr. Abramovich, and his board for helping me realize not one but two dreams. My first in becoming a Chelsea player, and today my second, becoming a player at Real Madrid. I wish each and every one of you the very best, my friends. Eden. Now that his Chelsea chapter was finally closed, the Real Madrid chapter was open, and it did not have a good opening at all. Hazard turned up to his new club overweight, and this immediately caused concerns, with the media immediately picking up on this and spreading the news like wildfire. When he spoke to L'Equipe about it, he said, "It's true, I'm not going to hide it, but when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. I have put on 5 kilos. I'm the type to put on quickly and lose so quickly if I'm careful. When I was 18 in Lille, I was 72 or 73 kg. Muscle mass was 75, on a bad day 77. I was 80 this summer. I lost it in 10 days. His first moments at the club began with injuries, first suffering a thigh injury before also suffering recurring ankle injuries. His first season was blighted by injuries and was so bad that he was only able to produce 1 goal and 7 assists in 22 matches in all competitions. When he scored his first and only goal of the season, which came against Granada, it seemed like he was slowly but on his way to completing his adaptation at the club.
So you think that this goal is going to be like a turning point for you? A lot of good things we can expect from Eden Hazard from now on?
Yeah, I expect a lot for myself as well. So my target is to play better, to score more goals, to make more assists, and to make the fans happy.
However, a foot injury suffered on December the 5th would keep him out for 67 days, missing 15 matches in the process. Despite his stop-start season, fans understood it was his first season and that he would need more time to adapt. From the onset, it seemed like Hazard ran into a tactical problem at Real Madrid. As opposed to when he was at Chelsea, he just didn't have the same freedom that he previously had at Stamford Bridge. This was mostly due to the fact that Karim Benzema was the man who mostly called the shots in the attack. Play often revolved around him, and with the Frenchman being a skilled ball carrier, he often drifted into spaces in which Hazard used to operate. But this in itself could not have been too much of a problem, as he could have still had the same relationship that Benzema and Vinicius Jr. currently share on the pitch. But his biggest issue was his inability to play consistently, with the major reason for this being his constant injury problems.
He was going to cut to the outside. He could do whatever he wanted because in a duel, in a 1v1, he was unstoppable. Now, the new version of Eden Hazard doesn't even look for a 1v1 situation. In fact, sort of runs away from it and tucks himself inside to look to combine to other people.
He was constantly on the sidelines due to injuries, and for a 100 million player, this was not looking good, and he knew it. In reality, it has not been such a terrible year because I have been able to come to this club and we have won the league in my first year. I can't ask for more. But on an individual level, it has been the worst year of my career. It has been a little strange season with everything that has happened.
He doesn't trust himself to actually engage in 1v1 situations because he knows he cannot run past people. He knows it. He feels it. He doesn't trust his body. The injuries and whatever else that now is playing games in his own head.
Hazard's teammate Luka Modric even spoke about how hard the Belgian was working to try to make things right. Hazard is a great guy and a special player, but he was playing with pain, and when you're on the pitch, people always expect the best. They don't care if you have little problems. I spoke to him and said, "Eden, maybe you need not to play now and recover because next season we need you at your best. This is a season where you're getting to know everything, but next season you need to be 100% because if not, it's going to be difficult." Hopefully he comes back without any problems, and then I'm sure he'll show his potential and why the club bought him, because we will need him a lot.
How have you been able to cope with those injuries and not lose motivation?
Believe me, it's not that easy. You know, when you play football, you just want to be on the pitch.
For a player who used to be considered lazy in training by his former teammates,
and there is no place for you to be like, okay, I don't want to train today. I don't want to. The only player I saw that did that and got away with it was Eden Hazard.
But he just never really trained.
Oh, he never trained.
This time, Hazard wanted to make things right. Although his appearance the following season did not seem to reflect this, as he once again turned up to the club overweight. While Hazard's nightmare continued, it appeared one other player was beginning to show up for Real Madrid, displaying more energy and showing more hunger and desire than the Belgian captain, and his name is Vinicius Jr. Vinicius was quickly becoming the real deal, and he only truly exploded when Ancelotti took over as the new manager of the club in 2021. The emergence of Vinicius Jr. continued to push Hazard to the sideline, and with the Belgian quickly becoming an afterthought, he was linked with a move back to former club Chelsea around the time they had recently done something they never did when Hazard was at the club, and that was conquering Europe. Even while on their journey to doing so, they came across Hazard's Real Madrid in the semi-final, which birthed this infamous moment in which the winger was seen laughing along with his former Chelsea teammates despite Real Madrid just losing the match. This prompted a negative response from the media, who quickly lambasted him for his actions. This was when things began getting even more heated with Hazard at Real Madrid.
Eden Hazard.
Who is? Hazard. He's playing for Chelsea, not for us.
Hazard, just like Coutinho before him, watched his former club lift the Champions League trophy before him, and even though he did so a year later, it just wasn't the same because he wasn't the main man in the squad. He had very little input in the team's success. Now in 2023, Hazard sits top of Real Madrid's wage list, and with his contract set to expire next summer, the Belgian wants to run it down. He's still a valuable asset for the club nonetheless due to his vibrant personality. It is reported that he is a favorite in the dressing room, and players like that are often critical to the success of the team in terms of team spirit and morale, but he unfortunately could not be that effective on the pitch.
Vous savez, j'ai cassé 3 fois ma cheville. Voilà, ma cheville elle sera peut-être plus jamais la même qu'il y a 10 ans quand j'ai commencé ma carrière.
After an estimated 500 days of injury with over 78 matches missed, Hazard sadly has not justified his price tag at all. He really doesn't have anything left. He's past his prime. Belgium's golden generation has fizzled away. He's most likely lost a chunk of his skills, and so he doesn't really have a lot going for him at the moment. Maybe once he leaves Real Madrid, he could turn things around, but that can only be confirmed come 2024, and so before that, all we can only do is just assume.
I think the way match after match is being punished by opponents and is not being protected by referees, maybe one day we don't have Eden Hazard.